Welcome to Sleep Story of Legends, where we bring you immersive bedtime tales of iconic heroes, mythical warriors, and legendary figures. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about what stories you'd like to hear next. Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let the world of dreams take you away as we dive into the mind of a man that has given everything to his city, Matt Murdock, the Daredevil. The city never sleeps, but Matt Murdock does. When exhaustion forces him to, he sits alone in his Hell's Kitchen apartment, bathed in the dim glow of the street lights filtering through the windows. The city hums around him, a constant symphony of car engines, distant sirens, and the muffled heartbeat of New York itself. He listens, as he always has, but tonight he is not searching for danger, not listening for the telltale whisper of crime in an alleyway or the desperate cries of the innocent. Tonight, he listens to himself, and for the first time in a long time, he wonders if he still recognizes the man he has become. Matt runs a hand over his tired face. His fingers brush over the faint scars on his temple, the old wounds that never truly fade. The weight of years presses against him. He has fought, bled, and lost more than he ever imagined possible. His father, Battling Jack Murdock, gone. His mentor, Stick, gone. Elektra, the love of his life, lost in a war that neither of them truly won. And now, Wilson Fisk sits in the mayor's office, turning the very system Matt fought to uphold into his own personal kingdom of corruption. What was left to fight for? The law was his weapon by day. The mask was his weapon by night. And yet, both seemed duller than they once were. The courts were a battlefield where Fisk played the long game, and in the streets, crime adapted to the very rules Daredevil himself set in place. He remembers the last time he fought Fisk, the weight of the kingpin's fists crushing against his ribs, the raw fury behind every strike. He had won that battle, but Fisk had won the war. Now, the city bent to his will, and Matt was left standing in its ruins. Matt exhales slowly, focusing on his breath. "Think, Murdock," he mutters to himself. "You've been here before." But have I? A voice inside him whispers, "This isn't just another crime boss in a dark alley. This isn't a mob takeover or a gang war. This is Wilson Fisk with the full power of the city behind him. And I am just a man." Fisk's grip tightens every day. The police, once a friend, now a force under his command. The judges, many in his pocket. The press, silenced or bought. Matt feels the cage closing in around him. He can't do this alone. But he's always been alone, hasn't he? Even with the defenders, even with Foggy and Karen, there was always a distance, a gap that could never be crossed. He wore a mask, not just for them, but for himself. But perhaps it was time for something different. Matt turns his head slightly, listening. Somewhere, a child cries. A mother soothes her. A man shuffles home after a long shift. Life goes on. Even under a tyrant's rule, life finds a way to move forward. He thinks of Stick's lessons. The old man had been ruthless, relentless, But he was right about one thing. Survival isn't just about fighting, it's about adapting. So, what now? Frank Castle, the Punisher, a man with no hesitation, no mercy, no lines he won't cross. Their paths had intertwined too many times, each encounter challenging Matt's sense of justice. When they first met, Matt saw him as a monster, someone who had given up on the very idea of redemption. But over time, he came to understand him in ways that unsettled him. Frank had looked him in the eye once and said, "You're one bad day away from being me." Matt still hears those words, even now. The thin line he walks between justice and vengeance grows thinner every day. What if the only way to stop Fisk was to embrace a darker path? What if the laws he once swore to protect were now just shackles holding him back? No, he wasn't the Punisher. He couldn't be. But what if he needed him? There was a time when Matt Murdock was broken, when he had lost everything: his home, his friends, his very identity. When Fisk had crushed him, left him in the gutters to die, and stripped him of everything that made him Daredevil. But he had been reborn. He remembered the pain, the isolation, the long, dark nights where he questioned everything he stood for, the time he spent recovering, lost and uncertain, before he found the strength to rise again. Now, as he stands at another crossroads, he remembers that fire inside him, the resilience that brought him back from the brink. He may not have Stick anymore. He may not have Elektra, but he has himself. He has his faith, and he has the people who still believe in him. The mask sits on his desk, the red fabric, worn and torn, a symbol of a life built on sacrifice. He brushes his fingers over it, feeling the ridges and contours, a relic of a war that never ends. Fisk thinks he's won. Let him think that. Matt stands, feeling the familiar tension in his muscles, the old fire that never truly fades. The city still needs him. The people still need someone to fight for them. But maybe it's time to fight differently. He won't be a pawn in Fisk's game. Not anymore. If Daredevil can't stop him in the streets, then perhaps it's time for Matt Murdock to stop him in the light. A new plan forms, a different path, one without the mask. He doesn't need to be a symbol to fight back. He just needs to be himself. The fight isn't over. It's only just beginning. As Matt steps out into the night, the city breathes around him. The war for New York's soul rages on, and he will be there, one way or another. And so, dear listener, as you drift into sleep, know that even in the darkest times, the fight for justice never truly ends. Good night. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about what legendary tale you'd like to hear next. Until next time, sleep well and dream of heroes.